Welcome back to the Fierce Fish First Tech Challenge programming tutorial series. Our goal in this series is to provide simple and straightforward guidance in programming an FTC robot. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about touch sensors. So now let's begin, as we always do, by declaring our touch sensor. So I've already initialized and declared and everything a drivetrain as well as LED lights so we can see the use of those with the touch sensor. So let's declare it as touch sensor, and then the name of your touch sensor, front touch is what I'm going to call mine, because let's just say it's a sensor at the front of our robot that we want to say like to do things if it's touching something, stuff like that. So basically the class is touch sensor, and that's your variable name just like any other configuration. So now let's initialize it. We have to initialize it like a sensor, of course. So let's go front touch equals hardware map dot get, and then the touch sensor class, and then our configuration name, which is front touch. So let's review that. We have the variable name that we're going to use in the code equals hardware map dot get, your class, and then your configuration name. Just like you initialize any other sensor, we initialize the touch sensor. So now there's a couple methods associated with the touch sensor because it's a little different than the other two sensors we've talked about in this tutorial series. So the touch sensor basically has one purpose, and that's like if is something touching it. And there's a simple Boolean we can inscribe for that, and that is isPressed. So it would look like this, .isPressed. And that basically tells you, like I said, it's a Boolean, and it tells you is it pressed or is it not pressed. So it'll return true or false. Now there's another method here. It is called getValue. And that's how hard the distance sensor is pressed. Not the distance sensor, I'm sorry, the touch sensor, how hard it is pressed. So let's say that like you're using this touch sensor as a limit switch for a linear actuator, which I guess could work. Yeah, let's go with it. Like maybe once it reaches a certain threshold, you're going to want to stop that motor completely. That would be something you'd use getValue for. Okay, but right now we're just going to get rid of that and look at the drive forward method now. So this is our drive forward method, of course, that we put together in the IMU video. And basically how I'm going to modify it is to drive forward until our touch sensor touches something. So now we're not even focusing on motor encoder ticks whatsoever. So we're going to get rid of that completely from our input statement. Now, of course, all of this stays the same. And let's go to our actual condition here and get rid of all of the motor encoder associated things. So now how we're going to have to do this is if we want to keep driving forward while our sensor is not touched, we're going to go not, which is an explanation point in Java. We're going to go not front touch dot is pressed. And while that touch sensor is not pressed, it's going to drive forward. So then while that is happening, all of this in here, which as we've reviewed in the previous videos, is just driving forward and adjusting the power to stay on the angle. And then once it is pressed, it's going to exit out, reset the encoders, and then we're going on to whatever our next motion is. So that is how we've modified our drive forward method to go until our touch sensor hits something. But now let's apply this in a TeleOp space for our lights, because this can be a very effective tool. So now let's say this is, what's the game called? Relic Recovery. Let's say we have the foam blocks and we're intaking the foam blocks and we want the lights to change to a different color once we have the foam block touching the touch sensor. So the way we would do that here is if it's front touch dot is pressed, If the touch sensor is pressed, then have your lights, that's the variable I called my LED lights, that set pattern. Let's say we wanted to set it to gray. I know gray is kind of lame, but I decided gray because it's the one of the colors of the glyphs. So that is that, and then else, meaning if the touch sensor is not pressed, then we're going to set it to our standard color, which let's just say I like blue, so let's say our standard color is going to be blue. And there you have it. Now that can also be paired with the endgame timer with additional else-if statements. If you'd like to learn how to do a simple endgame timer with the LED lights on your robot, please refer to our Rev Blinken tutorial, which I believe is tutorial number 7 in our series. So I think that's going to be it for this video today. We learned about the touch sensor, its methods, and how to use it in different situations with drive forward, and how to use it with LED lights in a TeleOp space. So from all of us here at Fierce Fish, we hope you have a great day.